Good day, everyone. To those who are watching or listening, I'm Aaron Joseph Pobre, and I'd like to welcome you to my personal reflection titled Discovering Myself with Uself, a personal journey to growth and peace. So, through this presentation, I'll be sure how Uself course helped me examine not just how I function as a student, but how I am as a person. So you hear about the main weaknesses I've identified in myself, not to shame myself, but to use this as a realization, a starting point for growth. So table of contents here. Here's what we'll be talking about today. So first, I'll go through the four weaknesses that I've reflected on. So first is feeling distant from my inner values and purpose, and then second is poor time management. Then third is doubting my abilities. Then fourth is overthinking. So for each one, I'll share my goals, the first steps I took, the principles I learned from the GU Self framework, and how these helped me realign with who I am to become. Then finally, we'll wrap it up with a reflection on how my journey is still going but meaningful. And then that's the conclusion. So next is Uh, weakness number one, feeling distant from my inner values and purpose. So let's start with something deeper than academics, but my spiritual self. So in college, it's easy to lose sight of your values. You're thrown into deadlines, group projects, competition, pressure, and somewhere in the middle, all of you, in the middle of all that, you forget to ask, why am I still living according to my values? So I realized I was drifting. I wasn't feeling connected to the things that I've give in my life meaning. So faith, kindness, and inner peace. And that's when I identified my first weakness. I was feeling distant from my inner values and purpose. So I set this goal for myself, remain grounded, to stay connected with my beliefs, and to let those beliefs guide me through the chaos of college life. So the spiritual self reminded me that the life is more than just accomplishment. It's about fulfillment, peace, and authenticity. So one step I took was to start praying before bed again, not out of desperation or fear, but out of intention. A conscious effort to reflect, slow down, and connect with something greater than myself. This habit helped me feel centered again. It gave me clarity when my days felt confusing, and it reminded me that success without peace isn't real success. So I'm still learning to listen to my spiritual self, the one that tells me when I'm doing too much or when I need to go. But I'm listening more closely. So this is a sample of me praying before I go to bed. So I recorded this 2 weeks ago uh, when I was preparing to sleep. The next is weakness number two, poor time management. So the second weakness was something I think most of us struggle with. So time management. As a student, I found myself constantly procrastinating. I'd know about the deadlines in weeks in advance and still end up rushing things the night before. Not only did that make my performance worse, but also left me feeling anxious and overwhelmed. So I set a clear goal to improve my daily routine, avoid cramming, finish assignments ahead of schedule, and work more consistently. So next one is Yusuf introduced me to the physiological self, and one principle that stood out to me is the self dynamic. We're not fixed. We can learn, grow, and change, but only if we're intentional. So I made some real changes. I bought a notebook planner and started writing down weekly goals, not just for academics but even reminders for rest, meals, and self care. I scheduled specific hours for studying, and during those hours, I turned off distraction like my phone or social media. I also tried using Pomodoro technique, wherein it focused on 25-minute block with short breaks and helped me stay focused without burning out. So these simple adjustment taught me the power of structure. It realized that managing my time well wasn't wasn't about being rigid, but it was about being kind to my future self. So I still have days off, but now I bounce back quicker. I don't rely on motivation alone. I rely on system I've put into place. So this is a sample of my notebook listing down what I need to do in the span of a week, a day, or just a basic planner just to list down what I need to do. So weakness number three is doubting my abilities. So next weakness, uh, that's personal and more often hidden, is doubting my abilities. So sometimes I'd sit in class and feel like everyone else was smarter, faster, or more prepared. And I'd wonder, what if I don't belong here? What if I'm just not good enough? So I made me so so I made it a goal not just to aim for academic success, but to build academic confidence, to believe that I could handle college and life challenges even when they're tough. So one big shift was how saw failure. Before I thought failing a quiz meant I wasn't smart. Now I see it as a feedback, as a moment to adjust, not to give up. So I started listening my small academic wins, complementing a paper early, and then understanding a difficult concept, speaking up in class. And these weren't just tasks; they were signs that I was growing. So do you introduce the idea of intellectual self and resonated with the idea of growth mindset. The intelligence can be developed through effort and resilience. Through the mindset, I started appreciating the effort behind learning. I stopped tying my worth to grades, and then instead started it to grow to growth. And then now I see challenges as opportunities, and I've learned to be proud of my persistence and to stop waiting for perfection before recognizing progress. So, college will continue to be hard, but now I know that I am capable, not because I have all the answers, but I'm willing to learn and keep trying. And also, this is a proof of my daily notes or journal that I've been using to list down my small wins or big wins or just me trying in this month or 2025. So weakness number four is overthinking. The last weakness I've like to share is something that struggled for with me for a long time. So I would overanalyze conversation, stress over a small decision, and replaying things in my head over and over. It was exhausting. So my goal became to trust myself more, to be in the present moment, to not question every thought. For my physiological self, I learned that overthinking is rooted in fear of making a mistake, of being judged, or not being controlled. So what happened? So what helped me was practicing self-awareness. I realized that when I'm overthinking, I'm usually trying to predict what future or fix something in the past, both things I can't control anymore. So I took action. I started writing down my thoughts when they get too overwhelming, when journalizing helped me realize them instead of letting them spiral. So I use digital calendars to organize my tasks and break them into smaller and less intimidating pieces. I started telling myself, to figure out everything. You don't need to figure everything out now. Just focus on what's next. So overthinking hasn't disappeared completely, but it doesn't control me anymore. Now, uh, I know how to pause, breathe, and refocus. So this is a sample of my calendar when I put some meetings and some things that I need to do from the past few months or weeks. Lastly is conclusion. What I learned from Uself or myself. Taking Uself was more. than academic requirement. It was a chance to look inward and ask who I really am becoming. So it taught me that growth isn't about fixing everything overnight, but it's about honest with yourself. It's about listening to your struggles and responding with care. So learn that knowing yourself doesn't have to be a dramatic journey. Sometimes it's just a series of quiet realization and after the other. So learning how to balance, to be mindful, to be productive, to be grounded, and to be kind to myself. I'm not perfect, but now I know that weakness isn't something that to be ashamed of, but it's a direction of growth. And most importantly, I now understand that real success isn't just about achievements, it's about peace, purpose, and being around of the person that I'm becoming. The person I'm becoming. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my personal journey. Before I end, I want to take this moment to sincerely thank my professor, for guiding us through this course with so much depth, patience, and intention. So honestly, without your teaching, you yourself wouldn't be have the same impact on me. So you didn't just go through the lessons; you made them come alive. You challenge us to reflect, to be honest with ourselves, and to brave enough to comfort who we really are. Your approach to teaching made this subject feel personal. It made me realize that discovering the self isn't just a class topic, it's a lifelong journey, and that's worth pursuing with openness and courage. So thank you for encouraging the growth, not just for academic success, but for the sake of becoming better human being. That made all the difference. Because of this class and because of your guidance, I walk away not just with knowledge, but with a new level of self-awareness and clarity and confidence in who I am and who I want to be. From the bottom of my heart, thank you, sir. You made a lasting impact on me, and I'll be carrying these lessons from this class far beyond this semester. Once again, thank you everyone who listened to my presentation. May we all be continue to grow with peace, purpose, and self love.